Welcome to action from the Rotax Max Challenge South Africa, round 1 at Killarney Kart Circuit in Cape Town. And we are in for an epic battle here with the DD2s making their way out into the circuit and multiple champions behind the wheels.
DD2, of course, is the big guns. DD2, Bradley Liebenberg, multiple champion. Nick Verheil's in there. He should be in Masters, but chooses to fight with the youngsters and then ride the Argus the next day. A bit of a fitness freak, so let him have a try there. Roman De Beer, everybody knows Roman, a seasoned, accomplished driver, will be there. Local boy Jonathan Thomas is really good. Jason Kutsia is really good. So DD2, Benjamin Habig, who knows who will come out on top of that. That is the best race of the day for sure.
And we're expecting to see big action with Roman De Beer and his tail gunner Brad Liebenberg right at the front end. Dino Sturman making a welcome return into DD2. Jason Kutsia concentrating on DD2 this year. Verheil and Habig. Habig looking for that championship. Let's see what happens now for Heat 1.
Definitely didn't think we've got the one lap wonder installed this weekend, but we just made a few changes before quali and it paid off. So very happy with the performance. We only race here once a year, so it was a lot of hard work these past 2 days, but very happy with it.
This season, the class have changed a bit of dynamics. A lot of you, Bradley, Benz, all those. But when you guys went and brought last year's challenge champion into the class, did you need the help or does he need the help?
No, I don't think any of us needed the help. We just used the purpose just to do some testing and development on the chassis. It's just much easier when you have two carts with different setups to make a final decision. So that was the only strategy that we used. Yeah.
You would like to put it over these old guys, eh?
Yeah, of course I would, but obviously it's something they've been doing for a lot longer than me. It's a big jump from Max Challenge to DD2, obviously. And yeah, this year is just a learning curve for me and trying to do my best, improving all the time.
Why the change? I mean, you had a great year last year. You're still very young. Why the change to DD2?
To be honest, it was just like I just wanted to start over. I wanted to do new things. I'm not saying Max Challenge was boring, but I was over racing the same people all the time, and it's just a new challenge for me. And I would rather try to win a title again than defend one.
Well, last year, like you say, I think I smiled once. Wasn't too much focus on the karting, it was more on the main circuit. But yeah, I mean, this year, actually I wasn't even supposed to race. It was more of a test weekend to try and help Roman and Dom get going. But it ended up me racing, and we haven't looked back yet. Looking forward to tomorrow. I think it's going to be really close, and the wind throws a big factor into everything. So, like I say, it's going to be good racing. I'm excited for it, and we'll see how this weekend goes, and then see what happens from there.
You've owned this class for 4 years, and I would like to think that you want to say, guys, I'm still here.
Yeah, I mean, last year wasn't my year, and like I say, the focus wasn't really on karting, and my personal focus wasn't. And at the end, to come so close like we did, it was an achievement in itself. I mean, we didn't put much time into it, and I've won it 4 years in a row. Last year that rain ended, but like I say, we'll see what happens during this year, and if I carry on. But yeah, the focus is on this weekend and seeing what we can do, not just with myself, but with the team as well.
Lots of big names in the class, a bunch of youngsters coming in. And the youngsters, we know, they're always hungry.
I mean, like you say, we got Roman, who's, he's had so many achievements in his life, and one can only be proud of that. And then, like Dom coming into the team, into DD2 is also, he's been driving very, very well, not only here, but at EDUB as well. Showing the likes of Ben and some of the other boys there what he can do. But everyone's always hungry and everyone wants to win. That's why we go racing. So like I say, I'm just looking forward to this weekend, and we'll see what happens after that.
We're still new to the class, but we started practice on Thursday with the new cart, and from the first session I thought, okay, we're going to take a bit of time to get the right setup and get the full potential of the cart. But I mean, from the first session, the first lap, the cart felt like really absolutely awesome. And yeah, we've been pretty much top 2 every single practice session, banging out the consistent lap time. So I'm looking forward to today. Unfortunately, we didn't have a great qualifying session. On lap 5, the engine bolt came out and that caused us to stop. So yeah, I only managed to do 5 laps and we're only half a tenth off. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a bit of team orders today with the Burrell guys, so we're going to have to see, but I'm looking forward to it. I believe in the karts. It's looking very promising today. The kart's really fast.
Home track advantage at Cape Town is always something that everybody talks about, unlike some of the other circuits. But you talked about the team orders and the Burrell team. Last year, on a couple of occasions, Arnold Nevling taught them a lesson using their team orders. So it can work against them.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we've seen in Formula 1 team orders working against each other, but with the home track advantage, yeah, of course it helps, but I mean, the guys that I'm racing against have been doing it for more than 5-6 years, so they know this track inside out, so I think it's pretty even and the times are really close. So
last year, your first year to DD2, you didn't disgrace yourself. What's the plan this weekend?
Well, this plan this weekend is to win, I guess. But yeah, the win is going to be a big factor in this racing since DD2 is so close. But yeah, my main focus is to win and bank as much points as I can for my home round.
Are you just concentrating on the one class this season?
Yes, I'm only racing DD2 this year. The plan was to race Euros, but then we decided to rather leave it and focus more on National Championship, since last year didn't go the way that we wanted, but yeah, we'll see.
I think last year it was quite necessary for us to pick up our game. The class just keeps getting more competitive every year and the field is unbelievably filled with talent, so I think it's necessary that everyone has to step up the game year after year. And yeah, I think today quali didn't quite go as planned. We had a few issues, but obviously we have to fix them for tomorrow. We have one practice session tomorrow morning that we're going to have to try to resolve them, and yeah, hopefully we can get back to the front and hold our own.
Yeah, you don't want those Burrell guys at the front to run away with it, do you? Especially, knowing the history from last season.
Yeah, I think there was some tactics last year, but we won't go into that. And I'm not sure how it's going to play. I mean, it's the start of the season. You never know who's been assigned driver number 1. So, yeah, we're going to have to see what happens tomorrow, and hopefully we can get in the mix there between them.
Other than the Burrell guys, Roman and Bradley and Dominique, who's joined, there are a bunch of Capetonians also.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously knew the locals were going to be very quick here, especially with the new surface. It's a new ground for all of us. And yeah, the CMX drivers that have stepped up are performing and doing extremely well. So obviously we have to watch out for the young talent coming through.
We've seen lap records drop in every single category this weekend. Expect to see a new lap record in DD2 as we line things up here with the Burrell Art team on the front row. Right on their tail is Dino Sturman and alongside Jason Kutsia. So it's going to be a battle royal expected down into turn 1. Roman De Beer on the inside. Brad slots in the right position, and Jason Kutsia already applying pressure as they go through there. Nice start from Benji Hubber. He's been able to outgun his stablemate in the Tony Kart, and looks like he's got ahead of Dino Sturman. He's got ahead of Jason Kutsia as they go into the 180s for the first time as well.
Yeah, so Roman De Beer and Bradley Liebenberg out into the front. That's Robert Whiting with a problem just after the first lap, and I think that's his race run. It looks like the cutout switch for the gear change has come loose and cut the engine.
Well, no cutting engines at the front end of this race as they start to sort things out there. Even in the backpack, watch out for drivers that have got potential here, because there's no doubt about it. Even what is Justin Allison doing at the back of this field? That's not like him. That is for sure. He's got some work to do now. He was going to have to fight from there.
Yeah, Justin Allison changing from the Burrell Art SA team over to the Ricciardo team. Seems to be having a bit of a difficult weekend, but I know he'll figure it out. He'll get to the front pretty soon, if not this weekend, but by the next weekend. Bradley Liebenberg in second there, not looking forward though, looking backwards behind him to see where Benjamin Hubbock is. Benjamin Hubbock on a charge on his way up to the front pack there.
Yeah, Hubbock looking to get in amongst those barrels, and it looks like Jason Kutsia's got his own Tony Kart to worry about, and that is Dino Sturman. Great to have Dino Sturman back in it. Dives on the inside, 47 and 77. Battle of the 7s and the 4-7, unfortunately not able to squeeze through there. Kutsia, as we mentioned earlier on, concentrating purely on DD2 this year, not worrying about Senior Max, and this time could be a big threat to the front end of this championship. But when we look at it, have a look. We've got world champions, we've got 4-time SA champions, we've got a championship seeker in third place, and we've got multiple junior champions who've stepped up into the ranks of DD2.
This is the most I've ever seen Bradley look behind him in his 5-year-long DD2 career. Obviously, he's going to turn it down here, slow down into the apex, so he gets a good run, and it's just brought everybody else into the fray. Dino Sturman now able to have a look at Benjamin Hubbard as we go down the back straight.
He's backing everybody. Concertina effect coming out of the 12 cart there. And Bad Brad just doing the incredible job of fending off everybody else, allowing his teammate to get a bit of an advantage and get away.
I find it interesting, though, that Bradley Liebenberg, the only Burl Art out there running with the Praga nose cone. Very strange for me. I know that maybe something to do with the aerodynamics or how hard it takes an impact. Unsure there, but only Burl out there with running that nose cone.
Well, that's an interesting little way of doing things, I suppose. If it's going to work for you and it's going to work out well, that's exactly what you need to do. Use the best machinery you can get. Good dive there from Dino Sturman. And there goes Hubbig. Hubbig on the inside, and he brings Sturman along for the ride. Oh, Brad Liebenberg losing out big time there with a slight mistake into the second 180.
Yeah, Brad Liebenberg demoted quite far down, but Roman's got the gap that he needs. He needs to get his head down now and just get away from this pack. But like I said, in Cape Town, that's virtually impossible when you've got a train of 5-6 cars chasing you.
Liebenberg's got a busy season ahead. He's not only running in Falcon Polo Cup and GDC, but also in DD2. Can you believe this? That is a real tough ask. So let's see if he's able to do anything about getting back to the front end. He's got to come up between 5 carts. 39 coming through there, S for Hell, and look out for Jonathan Thomas as well. Dominic Lincoln starting to throw in the mix there. And Sebastian Boyd in the Cosmic has now become a threat at the front end of this field as well. So we've got 2 Burls, 2 Tony Carts, a CRG. We've got incredible action coming out of that Cosmic machine of Boyd's, and they're all starting to hunt for the front end of this field, which is currently held by De Beer.
The Ricky Perdigar, Tony Cart there. Dino Sturman moving himself up in the second place now, chasing down Roman De Beer in the front, and it looks like he's got the pace. He's already pulled 2 cart lengths on Hubbard, so now it's just head down and on his way to Roman De Beer.
And De Beer is in trouble because they are definitely lapping slightly quicker. Dino Sturman just putting in a 40.5. Absolutely mind-blowing lap time around the circuit. And that's what we're getting out of DD2s in the first heat of racing. Can you imagine what it's going to do as conditions get better and better throughout the day?
Jason Garcia looking very racy there behind Benjamin Hubbard. Had a look into the second 180s. That's allowed Jonathan Thomas to get onto the back of him. Jonathan has really come strong since last year and now looking to be one of the protagonists racing at the front.
Good to see Dom Lincoln back in there as well, just off the back end of that little pack. As they start to throw it in. Oh, Liebenberg is back in it as well. Here comes Brad. Brad looking for a way through there on that CRG of Thomas, and I think Thomas has got his days numbered because Brad Liebenberg is definitely applying massive amounts of pressure onto the back end of the CRG. Diving on the inside, and he makes it stick. Saw that one coming about 3 corners ago.
Yeah, Brad on a move now, trying to get back up to his stablemate Roman De Beer in the front. There's not going to be much help to anybody where he is now, so he needs to get the hammer down and get down there.
And 2 Tony Carts applying the pressure onto Roman De Beer now, so it looks like could be a change up here. Yes, there is. Tony Cart change up as well as Dino's got ahead of Benjamin Hubbard. He's going for the lead. Dino Sturman hits the front. Oh, what a maneuver there from Dino Sturman. Diving through, catching Roman De Beer out completely. I don't think he saw him coming.
Yeah, I think Roman's used to having wings on his GP2, so he doesn't have any, wing mirrors on his GP2, so he doesn't have any of those in the cart, so didn't see Dino Sturman coming from anywhere, so now under attack from Benjamin Hubbard into turn 1. Benjamin late dive down the inside. Oh, contact there between the front nose cone and Roman De Beer, and that puts him behind Jason Couture.
Oh, Couture's going to make hay while the sun shines as they go through there and get through, but look at that, De Beer comes straight back, and there comes Bad Brad. Oh, this is not what Burl wanted, that's for sure. Liebenberg diving through and Roman De Beer having to take evasive action off that little nose cone tap on the back end of Hubbard. That's going to be a concern for me. Is there going to be an issue on that nose cone? Will he possibly get an infringement for the nose cone being bumped in there after the contact between himself and Hubbard?
Brad busy looking down on his engine at the moment. I don't know if he's picked up a misfire or have had issues, because as he got past Roman, he started looking at his engine. So I don't know if there's any issues there on Brad's cart.
Coming through, Sebastian Boyd has made a nice maneuver to get ahead of Kutsia and of Fahel as they come down under braking for turn 1. 2 CRGs losing out there, and John Thomas also starting to get a little bit of loss of ground at the front end. He was a lot higher up there. And
Roman De Beer running wide to the first 180. Sebastian Boyd getting past quickly and easily, and now that's dropped Jason Kutsia into the clutches of Nick Fahel with Roman blocking him off.
Fahel now looking to capitalize and maybe get through. Roman De Beer looking behind him. De Beer's got a problem. De Beer having to go defensive, and he gets a tap from behind. Oh, that's going to be real. Oh, and another one. Kutsia trying to drive over the back end.
And
now John Thomas goes through. And look at that. Roman De Beer stops in the middle of the corner. What was that all about? Yeah, I don't know what that was all about.
I think that exhaust has been taken off from Jason. I see on the replay here quickly. Jason has a go. He climbs over the curb, hits his back wheel, pulls the exhaust off Roman, but no reason to stop in the middle of the track though.
Oh, Roman just slams the brakes on and makes him go right at the back. And it also catches out for Hale. Has to go over the side and over the Mojo tyres. Woo! Is this DD2 for 2019? I think so.
It looks like lots of fun to watch. I think it's going to be the one. Dominic Lincoln, a big winner there. He's coming in just behind Jonathan Thomas. And just behind Nick Verheul there's the Prague of Carlo Olafia as well. So they've made a lot of places with that mess that happened through there.
Sure. That's an incredible amount of mess. I'm not quite sure why Roman was thinking about hitting the brakes in the middle of the corner, but he did. And it caught out 3 carts. So he could be in a bit of having a chat with the COC after this one, I think, for that maneuver.
Pit lane was definitely an option rather than standing on the anchors.
They come out of Golf Club now. John Thomas trying to open up a bit of a margin now. He's got a little bit of breathing room to play with. But out front, that's just going to gift an opportunity here for Dino Sturman and Benjamin Habig to control the final lap and the last part of this race. Yes, Brad Liebenberg is there, but as you said, he's got a little bit of a miss on the card. It's not quite firing like it was, and he'll just have to settle for 3rd place. I don't think he's going to attack Benji too much. He'll be happy to finish up in 3rd place. You can see Dino, he's not holding anything back. He's going to go for the win no matter what. And a nice recovery there from Sebastian Boyd to avoid all the action that happened around him, and potentially going to be finishing up in 4th place here.
Yeah, great job from Boyd there to move himself up in the 4th. He wasn't exactly a strong front contender in the beginning of the heat, but he's managed to come back.
Dino Sturman comes back and takes a win. Can you believe that? First time back and at the top of the podium. He'll be stoked with that one. Benjamin Habig, his teammate, makes it Tony Karts 1 and 2. And the Burrell Art team finishing up in 3rd place with Brad Liebenberg behind the wheel of that machine. Then it was Sebastian Boyd in the Cosmic finishing up in 4th, beating John Thomas in the CRG. How's that for an array of karts for the top 5? Lincoln beating out Brandon Smith and Justin Anderson making up the top 8.
Yeah, I bogged at the start, and then I just saw everyone go ahead of me, and I was like, oh gosh, here we go, we're going to have to fight. And then from the first lap, I felt the car was really good, and I passed Jason, and I passed Benj and Nicholas, and then I knew my car was good. And after I passed Benj, I saw a little bit of a gap to Roman, and I knew I was going to catch him, and I caught him in 2 laps. And I managed to get a better run on him down the back straight, and I passed. And I didn't look behind me once, I just kept my head down, and Ricky was showing me the gaps, and I just saw his hands going bigger and bigger each lap, and that feeling was just really nice. And then when they showed the last lap board, I actually got a bit teary because I haven't won in so while, and it was just really amazing to win like that. It was definitely one of my best karting wins for sure.
It was a great race to see from the outside, but first 10 laps was brilliant. Carrying this momentum into race 2 and 3?
Yeah, well, I have no idea actually where I'm starting, but I mean the kart's really good, so I got nothing to worry about. As long as I just maintain that pace, it should be good.
The pace at the front of this race is going to be incredible. Yet again here for race number 2, DD2's lining up. And Dino Sturman, the man who took the first win, is on pole, so he'll certainly be looking to improve and maybe go 2 for 2. Jason Kutsia had his race ended very rapidly there. A very weird outbreaking maneuver from Roman De Beer, but let's have a look and see if they get things sorted out now for race 2 as they come into the tram lines and get ready to go. Lights out and we are racing. Good start from Sturman, and he is followed by John Thomas and Kutsia right on their tail, coming through there for the very first time. Good to see a much better start coming out of Robert Whiting, and this time Whiting is in the mix.
Jason could see her fell asleep a bit there at the start. Didn't get on the power when he should have, and now that whole second row dropped back. But Robert Whiting obviously got his kart going after that incident in the first 180s of the first heat, and managed to set a blistering lap time and put himself up into the 4th place.
Ben Chubby giving Whiting a little bit of run into... and forced him a little bit wide. In fact, I think Whiting got caught out there by the attack coming from Habig. Maybe got caught out, maybe just, I wouldn't say frightened, but definitely didn't see that coming. And it just took him offline, not his normal race line through the golf club. As they come down across the line and completing lap number 1, Habig up to 4th. It's a maneuver there from Sebastian Boyd. Where are you going? Yeah, that's not the way to go around turn 1 for Hal. Definitely the wrong way.
I think Nick forgot he was in a DD2 and not a Max 175.
Maybe he had to just drop down again if got to. De Beer, well, he's up there and he's starting to make up some maneuvers. And he's squeezing out a couple of stablemates in the process. And Dominic Lincoln losing out there as Roman De Beer makes his way up. Where is Bad Brad? Brad got a terrible start. I can't see him anywhere in the top 10 at all.
Yeah, I think Brad's missing from this action at all. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually just put it into the pits.
I can't see him in the background there, but he is coming up on the timing monitor, so he must be out there at some point, but he's nowhere near the front end where he needs to be. In fact, none of the Brill boys are. Right now, 2 CRGs, a Cosmic, and 2 Tony Karts that are fighting for the lead of this one.
Oh, Dino Sturman backs that DD2 in nicely, but he just overdid it there that lap and pushed himself wide into the first 180, dropping himself down into 4th place.
A bit of rustiness, I think, coming out of Dino there.
Yeah.
Maybe just going in there a little bit too hot, going, yeah, I can make the stick. Maybe I can't.
The only one I've ever raced with that I've seen back in a DD2 like that was Luke Herring, so looking very Luke Herring-esque.
Yeah, well, this is Herring's home track, so maybe he got a little bit of advice from Herring saying, what do I do into those 180s? And Herring said, yeah, back it in.
Herring also coming out of Ricky Perdigau's stable once upon a time, now running his own little team. I think he's actually left karting altogether for now. Hopefully we'll see him back in PE.
And yeah, he's gone off-road racing actually on 2 wheels, so I think he's going to be having some fun there with Pepper, who of course is one of his big backers. Now down under the braking markers, into the 180s. Ooh, bits and pieces coming off karts there. That's a concern so early on in the race. I'm not quite sure what went off this kart, but definitely something falling off. And I think it might be one of those rollers at the back end of
Benji's kart.
Benji's kart, yeah.
They are designed to come off, so obviously just doing his job and stopping the kart from climbing up the kart in front of it. But they don't work too often, as we saw in the earlier race with Jason and Roman.
Yeah, Jason will definitely attend to that. He'll say, no, they definitely don't work.
Oh, there's Brad.
There's Bad Brad coming together with the 33.
That's Jason Smith. Jamie Smith.
Yeah, Smith and Bad Brad are teammates. There might be a little chat there in the Burrell R team after this. But that's not where Brad wanted to finish. That is for sure. Having to now come back on track. I think that might be his race done. In fact, that is. His race is done.
Brad not coming back.
Dino makes his way up, squeezing out another position and getting through. And slowly but surely starting to tick them off and get to the back to the front end of this race. But out front, it's Hubbig. Look at him attacking. Boyd is attacking him big time. Sebastian wants through. He wants a cosmic win ahead of these Tony Kart boys.
Oh, just behind them, I see Roman and Jason starting their argument all over again. Just behind the front four there. But that's Bradley Liebenberg short one exhaust.
Oh, that sounds good, eh?
Jamie Smith trying to get past. Jamie and Brad not actually in the same Burrell R team.
It looks like Bad Brad might have gone for one of the rental carts here.
Oh, he's also changed his nose cone.
He's changed his nose cone as well, so he must have heard you in the first heat. Anyway, let's have a look at this. Oh, there's a big mistake from Benji in turn one. He runs wide, and it's allowed Dino Sturman and Thomas to get through. So Thomas now into second, behind Sebastian Boyd. Sturman is up to third, and Hubbig down to fourth.
Yeah, so big change up there in the front of the DD2. Boyd managed to get a bit of a gap on the rest of the field. Something wrong with Jason's kart.
No, that kart is slowing dramatically down the back straight. I saw gesticulation coming out of Thomas, and another one off. Another one running wide and off completely as we go flying into that golf club corner.
Well, I don't see Roman.
Maybe it's Roman De Beer. Could be Roman De Beer as they come across the line. Keep an eye in the background there for any of the Burrell karts. No, I don't see him either.
Oh, Benji Hubbig goes past Dino Sturman there into the first right-hander there after the main straight. So chopping and changing all over the place in DD2. We can't even keep up.
Yeah, look at this. This is Sturman and Hubbig fighting each other. It was the Burrell kart of Dominic Lincoln that I picked up on. It definitely wasn't Roman De Beer, so it looks like he's gone missing too. There we got 81 parked on the sideline. That's not quite where Shahrad Banthru wanted to finish up. First time out for him in the Ricardio machine, and he's now out of this second heat of action for DD2s.
Big gaps forming now between the group, but Sebastian Boyd getting caught quickly by Jonathan Toppers, Benjamin Hubbig and Dino Sturman there. So we thought we could have a breakaway win here by Sebastian Boyd, but it's not going to happen.
Dino Sturman sitting the fastest lap of the race. Not quite a lap record that we saw in the first heat, but certainly getting back down into the 40s, and there are only 4 karts in the 40s. One of them is Jason Kutsia. Boyd is the other one. So Boyd at the front end has got down into the 40 bracket, but it is Dino Sturman who's now applying the pressure, and he's putting it onto his stablemate there, Benji Hubbig.
Dominant Linking having a strong race there in 5th, but unable to get onto the front pack here. Hopefully they start tripping over each other and you can get there.
Jonathan Thomas though, what a race here in race 2. Didn't expect to see this out of the CRG man, but he's definitely found some superb second race pace here.
Benji down the inside now. Managed to make the move stick. I wonder if it's going to give Dino Sturman the opportunity in the first 180. I don't think so. Jonathan calmly looks over his shoulder. Another RDSA driver from Claudio Stable, learning a lot from the master.
Yeah, definitely a man who's improved dramatically in my eyes. And if he keeps up the work that he's doing with Claudio Piazzamusso, he's going to get better and better. Boyd trying to pull away from these guys, but he hasn't got the same pace. Boyd currently lapping in the 40.9s. We're seeing 40.0s and 40.8s coming out of the 2 karts behind him. So Boyd is in trouble. He's about 0.7 of a second slower than the 2 karts hunting him down.
Yeah, it's difficult to lead out in a circuit like this. Like I was saying, qualifying, if you get a good slip, it's worth at least 0.3 of a second. So you got to get at least a second gap on the car behind you to stay in front.
And that's not what Boyd's got right now. It's less than half a second there on Hubbig. Then it's John Thomas and Sturman.
So Sturman having a look, second 180s, gets the move done, nice, neat and calm. So definitely driving with a clear head now after those mistakes he made in the beginning of the race.
I think Dino was watching Kaf and sail through there. That's why he got it so perfectly done. He made it stick brilliantly as he comes out of the 180s. Now into the golf club. And Dino trying to open up a margin, get away from Thomas. If he does that and he runs with Hubbig, the two of them can put big pressure and it's Tony Kart pressure onto that Cosmic out front of Boyd.
Yeah, Boyd doing very well though to absorb the pressure from Benjamin. Benjamin loves the dive here into either turn 1 or the first 180, so it'll be interesting to see where he does it this time.
Can't go too early, otherwise he's going to just maybe show his cards too soon. Boyd maintaining that gap. It's only half a kart length, and I think Benji's just waiting for Dino to join him. Two karts attacking might be a bit better.
No, I think my option would have been let's get past Boyd and stick Boyd with Sturman.
Not a bad plan.
Remember Benji coming out of his own little stable and Sturman running with a Ricky Perdigas. So I don't think there's any team orders there. So
No team orders, just stable orders. Tony Karts want to be at the front end, that's for sure, and make it a 1-2.
Or do you want to beat the other Tony Kart?
Oh, you got to always beat your stablemate first. That's the first person you got to beat. So when we race, I got to beat you. Other than that, I don't have to worry about anybody else. Right, down on the brakes. Here goes Benji. That's the maneuver you said was going to happen. Down into turn 1, and he takes Sturman with him. Exactly what I said. They're going to work together as stablemates and put the attack onto the Cosmic, and it's worked out perfectly.
Always going to have a hard race now to stay ahead of Dino Sturman because Demon's been quick the whole weekend. I rather would use Boyd against Sturman and try to get a gap.
And now they come through, and it's going to be Sturman who's going to push him to the line. John Thomas is not out of it either. Dino Sturman trying to put the pressure on as they go down into Golf Club.
No move there for Dino at the moment. I wonder if he can get it done as they come out of the pit chicane. A very difficult corner in a DD2. Been off here plenty myself.
And you don't want to get it wrong here or try an overtaking maneuver because it won't happen. Now down on the brakes, Sturman. Habig hangs on for now, but only now. How much longer can he keep up the pressure that's coming from behind from that second Tony Kart?
Dino likes a late break here into the 180s. He's not close enough to do it yet. Maybe he's got the second 180 wax. No, Benji's very quick out of there. So his next option now is down the back straight, but I don't think he's close enough for the slipstream.
Not this time. Maybe on the next lap. He's got to try and close that gap down a little bit. Let's see what happens now in the closing stages. We are into the final lap, and here comes Habig under attack from Sturman. Oh, look at Sebastian Boyd. He's found some late race pace here, and into the final lap, he could throw a cat amongst the pigeons here. These two Tony Karts are fighting each other. They're not watching for Boyd, who's going to come through here and possibly spoil their day.
Yeah, Sturman needs to be looking at a defensive move on Boyd rather and the move on Benji in front of him. So a bit difficult to be the man in the sandwich there. It generally doesn't end well for you when you have last lap move, but he's down the inside now, and Benjamin Habig goes inside, outside. Oh, what a cutback. Can't finish it.
You know, here comes Boyd though. Boyd's got the inside line. And
2 into 1 doesn't go here.
Not going to make it stick there. Here comes Jonathan Thomas. Thomas comes across the line, and Boyd gets sent onto the grass. So it's going to be Habig who's going to come through for the win. Benjamin Habig going to take it. Jonathan Thomas capitalizes on a mistake out of Dino Sturman and Sebastian Boyd. Ex-teammates, remember. And the two of them now coming together in the closing stages right out of that chicane. Habig taking the win. Confirmation of results there ahead of Thomas. Dino Sturman beating out Dominic Lincoln and Sebastian Boyd after having to go onto the grass, finishes up in 5th place ahead of Jason Kutsia.
That was a good move from Boyd.
And now we go to Heat 3. Who do you think's going to take it here? Oh, any money? I think possibly on Dino Sturman because he is so fired up today. Let's keep an eye and see what happens. But look at where Roman De Beer is.
I think after the weekend he's had, he's going to want to win here as we head into turn 1. Good start from everybody. Roman's going to go around the outside early. That's a bit of a risky move with Benjamin Habig there as well. Justin Allison.
Yeah, Allison running wide.
Shame, having a shocking weekend.
De Beer made it perfect. De Beer's got the lead and he's got the whole shot. Boyd into 3rd place. Jason Kutsia already attacking and getting ahead of John Thomas. And Verhel's there as well. Oh, Dino Sturman not having the start he wanted. He's dropped right out of it. That's not where he wants to be. He's down in 5th place as they get onto the back straight.
Oh, that battle-wounded Burl Arts of Roman De Beer has gotten himself a nice little gap. Justin Allison, unfortunately, leading the back of the field there. Not having a great weekend.
He's having a tough one. For Hale now. This is on board. Have a look at this. Great onboard stuff here from Benji Habig as they go into turn 1. And as he goes into turn 1, he's in 2nd place. Not where he wants to be. But right now, that might not be a bad place. Because remember, this is a 20-lap Heat 3. And you're going to have to just pace yourself after having lots of race action so far in the first 2 heats of DD2.
DD2 drivers pace themselves, you're right. Top speeds of 120 k's an hour in karts like these though in Cape Town. Unbelievable stuff. 120 plus k's an hour.
I love the fact that it's a 90k an hour average lap time around here, but that's
phenomenal.
Just mind-blowing. That really is incredible. So DD2s are in the house and they are putting on a show of note. It's what we expected. With so many champions at the wheels of these karts, we are definitely in for a phenomenal 2019 season.
Yeah, former Junior Rock World Champion leading them out in the moment in the DD2 as Nick Vale makes a move and someone runs wide there. But I don't think Benjamin Habig's going to stay second for too long as he looks for a move pass on Roman De Beer. But these 3 here, Boyd, Kutsia and Dino Sturman, looking to get onto the front, or they're looking to just pass each other?
All ex-teammates as well. So they definitely know what it takes to beat each other. That's phenomenal to see.
100%.
Now all in different stables and fighting for their own rights. Never mind the team honors.
Jason Kutsia running with Yuri Swart at the moment. He actually set the main circuit lap record in a Class C golf, I think, the weekend before this. So they're all fast in everything they get into. But Boyd under big pressure now from Jason Kutsia and Dino Sturman. Dino seems to be playing the long game, just sitting there quietly, watching what's going on.
Here we go, on board, and De Beer's under threat, and Hubig's got through. That's such a cool shot. Wish we could stay with that a little bit longer.
Back
and De Beer sends him off the circuit with a big maneuver on the inside, forcing Hubig off. Why didn't we have that one on board? That would have been amazing to see. He would have been high-flying off the circuit.
What a late lunge there from Roman. It was a bit of a do or die, something I would have seen on the last lap, not lap 4 or 5 of a 20-lapper.
Yeah, well, Roman pushing hard. He's already, as you said, in that battle-scarred machine, and I think it's a little bit of battle scars coming here. Let's have a look at it as they go in one more time. De Beer dives on the inside. Similar maneuver to we saw earlier on in some of the other heats. It's what catches you out in those 180s. If you do go for that dive on the inside, the possibility of running under the kart in front of you is a huge one, and that's exactly what happened.
I think we must consider with these karts is that they do run front wheel brakes, so you go in too deep, too hard, it does lock the front brake and it does understeer. So Roman, not intentionally doing that, but I think he did make a mistake and lock the front brakes and run into the side of Benjamin Hubig.
Hubig has recovered though.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's damage though on that kart of Roman De Beers.
Yeah, I think on both karts. Hubig has recovered. He's ahead of Thomas and Verheul, and just off the back of that pack, but he's got some, look at the gap he's got between Sturman and himself. That's not going to be easy to manage. Here comes Dominic Lincoln in the background as well, diving on the inside, looking for a way through, and whoa, sideways from Lincoln as he went into the second part of the golf club.
Jonathan Thomas also moving way down there. He's actually moving to the clutch of Robert Whiting now. Robert Whiting seems to be having a better heat than what he's had in the first two. He's definitely got the pace to run up in the front. He's just had some bad luck this weekend.
As they come up into braking one more time for the 180s, Boyd out front. It's De Beer and Sturman dives through for third ahead of Jason Kutsia now. Just behind them, it's hard charge coming back from Benjamin Hubig, but Hubig hasn't quite got to the back end of Jason Kutsia. Let's have a look and see what that gap's like. He's on his own now. He's not going to use Verheul or anybody else behind to try and help him out, and Jonathan Thomas is the man just behind there. And Verheul, I think, is going to have to be wary of the attack coming from Thomas.
Look, we know that Dino Sturman's got the pace, so when he gets onto the back of the front too, it's definitely going to be a race. And when it becomes that race, Benjamin Hubig's going to be holding on, holding thumbs, hoping that they fight over this win for the next 10 laps.
Yeah, they are really fighting hard here, which is phenomenal to see. As they go into the 180s, Boyd late on the brakes, turns in nicely. A little bit of a late braking, a bit of a slide there from Roman De Beer. It might be just a testament to some damage on the kart. And you can see coming through there the 43 kart. Haven't really mentioned Brandon Smith too much in the first two heats, but he's in this one for sure. Tucked in behind Lincoln as they come out of the 180s.
You can hear the strength of the wind as they go down the back straight here. So slipstream is going to be massive. It's going to bring these front karts close together now. Boyd, unfortunately, the only one breaking the air in the front. So they're going to get onto his bumper pretty quickly.
Yeah, it looks like that wind is definitely going to play a massive role now in the closing stages of this final heat of DD2. So as they come into 180s, here comes Sturman on De Beer. And De Beer this time goes defensive. This time Sturman dives on the inside.
180.
That's exactly the maneuver that I think Roman was trying earlier on and didn't make it stick. And then Kutsia capitalizes on the wide line from Roman De Beer.
Yeah, Dino's got that one down patch. Yeah, we see from Benjamin Hubig's view through Golf Club, this is probably the trickiest part of the circuit. It's like right-hander after right-hander after right-hander into a left-hander. So very tricky part of the circuit. It was nice to see it from that point of view.
Yeah, very cool and calm. Cool and collected as well, coming out of Hubig to try and make up that ground. Let's see if he's been able to do that now as we go into 15 of 20. So 4.5 laps to go for these drivers. Kutsia with De Beer all over the back of him. And they're trying to close down on Sturman, who's managed to bridge that gap and got onto the leader, Sebastian Boyd.
Yeah, these three have definitely got closer to Boyd, but Dino Sturman definitely has the pace over the other ones. So if anybody's going to be able to get to the front and take this win, it'll be Dino Sturman with the pace that he's got at the moment.
Unless he can find a way past. Look out for Roman De Beer, though. He looks very dangerous. He's certainly hungry enough to take a win here, and it might come at a similar do-or-die maneuver to what we saw earlier on. Let's see if he's able to push hard and get through. They head up into turn one more time, and we got 4 to go now as Boyd fends off Sturman. Sturman fends off Kutsia. Kutsia has got big intentions being shown there by De Beer, and that's exactly why De Beer has got through. And now that De Beer's got through, he's going to try and push to the front end. Oh, problems there for Boyd. Boyd slows up. Boyd slows up coming out of the 180s, and it's given Dino Sturman a chance to get to the front end. So Sturman's at the front, Boyd is now second. Here comes Roman De Beer, and he's putting the pressure onto Sebastian Boyd in the Cosmic.
Yeah, Boyd unfortunately losing out there, dropping from first to second because Dino's doing that move into the second 180. He loves that move and he's so good at it, moving his way up in the first place. But it's allowed Roman De Beer and Jason Kutsia to get onto the back of Boyd and start looking for a first place from there.
Well, let's see if we can keep it all together now for these last couple of laps. Tucked in behind them, keep an eye out on Benji Hubbig. Hubbig will be itching to pounce. If anything goes wrong with any of these drivers, he's certainly going to pick up the pieces. And right on his tail, John Thomas. John Thomas just setting one of the fastest laps we've seen all day, a 40.3. That's allowed him to close the gap and get into the fight here for the front end.
Yeah, strong drive from both of them to get onto the back of this front end group, but I think it's because of all the fighting they've been doing up here for the win. It's the win of the last heat of the day, so everybody's itching to get it, and the grandstands are full to watch the DD2 as always.
Yeah, these guys are putting on a phenomenal show and looks like it's going to go right down to the wire. Dino Sturman, a little bit of breathing room there on Sebastian Boyd. Sebastian Boyd helping him out ever so slightly, backing the rest of this pack up and giving Dino just a cart length ahead just to play with. And that might be enough here, particularly when you're in the clutches of the carters that we're in with right now for DD2.
Yeah, just getting a cart length or so should be enough, but Boyd's going to be interested on the second 180 here. He does seem to get out of the first 180 well, however, not out the second 180.
You know, that's where Roman De Beer is capitalizing. He gets a much better drive out of that one. He's not going to do it just yet. We've got one lap to go still, so keep an eye on this little battle. Jason Kutsia starting to put a bit more pressure onto the back end of Roman De Beer as well, so expect big action here between these 5 carts and make it 6 carts there with John Thomas joining them.
Yeah, anything can go anyway here with these drivers looking for the win in the final heat, so expect some big moves as we head into the final quarter, the final few laps of the race, but I'm all expecting it to kick off in the last lap.
Here we go, down into the 180s, and this time it's Boyd a little bit closer to Dino Sturman. Roman De Beer's right there with him. Jason Kutsia tucked in behind De Beer. There's a little tap there between the two of them as they come out. Oh, so tight. Absolutely nothing in it as they head down the back straight. This will be the second last time of asking, and they're all just line astern right now, not showing any cards just yet.
Dino's very strong to the golf club, or what they call Cosmic now. Managed to get a cart length on the Cosmic of Sebastian Boyd. So heading into turn 1, he should be safe. They're onto the last lap now. Benjamin Hubbard looking in on Jason Kutsia. Not close enough to get it done though, and he's actually lost some ground.
Okay, watch for those cards to go flying into the 180s because the cards are out now. They're not going to hold anything back. Here we go. De Beer. Oh, Boyd goes defensive. And that's not going to help him. It's going to cost him.
De Beer looking for the cutback. He goes for it to the chicane. It's not really. Oh, rides the curb and sends Boyd wide. Boyd, unfortunately, hitting that curb on the outside there as well, throwing him into the infield.
No, that didn't work out for Sebastian Boyd, that's for sure. Roman De Beer's worked out perfectly. He's come through there rapidly. Dino Sturman's going to come through for the win, and Roman De Beer is going to hang on for second place by the looks of things. They come across the line. Yes, De Beer capitalizing on that maneuver. Sebastian Boyd, the biggest loser there, dropping down to 6th place after that little bit of a mistake. There you can see a happy man. Dino Sturman is certainly great to have him back in this class. Roman De Beer gives him a high five as he goes past. Jason Kutsia, his ex-teammate, will be pretty stoked. Benjamin Hubbig and his stablemate will be pretty happy with that as well. Great driving from every one of these DD2 drivers. Here's confirmation of Sturman taking it from De Beer. Kutsia, Hubbig and Thomas with the fastest lap. Sebastian Boyd, Lincoln and Brandon Smith to top 8. Etienne Whiting, Ulefiert, Liebenberg and Allison.
That last race, I've just been saying, one of the best DD2 races I've seen in a decade. Talk to me about that race because it got very physical.
Yeah, geez, I mean, I got hit at the start by Roman on the brakes. He just pushed me wide at the start on the brakes, and then I got dropped down to like 5th, and then I just saw everybody come past. I was like, oh gosh, now another race where we're going to have to fight. And yeah, my goal was just to beat Benj this race, to try and take the overall, but I mean, yeah, the kart was just, it was so good, and unfortunately I feel sorry for Benjamin. He got taken out. It was quite obvious that he got taken out, and then I just pushed lap for lap consistency. And yeah, I eventually caught my cousin, and then I dropped the wheel a couple of times. I made him a few mistakes, and I caught him back, and I managed to pass him second 183 laps to go. And I just kept my head down, and managed to pull off a win.
Were you aware of the cars that were around you? Were you around? There were 5 guys within 2 seconds.
No, not at all actually. I don't look behind because I feel like if I tend to look behind, I make mistakes and get worried. So I just kept my head down. I passed Sebastian, and you know, once a lap I would just check behind to see how close he was, and I eventually pulled a little bit of a gap, and I just realized that I got this in the bag. So it feels really good to finally win again.